Hey folks, welcome to another day, another unboxing. I've got the OnePlus Nord N20 5G here. This is the US Nord edition. This is what we get. We get the N series. And honestly, I'm pretty excited about this one. It's about $282 US, and it packs quite a punch for that money, at least for our market here in the US. As you know, in the US, we don't get those really great Xiaomi, Redmi, Poco, Realme, Oppo, and other Vivo phones that are affordable, $200 to $300, that are packed with features. So the fact that this is going to come to carriers like T-Mobile is really exciting. So let's check it out together. This is what the box looks like. OnePlus, typical. There's a bunch of stuff in the back here. The iMaze on top. So, dun 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 dun. We get this. Then we have this divider here. And let's look at that in a second. Then we have the phone here, and we'll check that out as well in a moment. And then we have a divider here as well with chargers. Okay, good. So again, this is a affordable phone, yet it still comes with a 33-watt Super VOOC charger, right there. USB Type A. It's pretty light with a Type A to Type C cord, a typical OnePlus cord. Very nice. So, you know, they're not skimping on that, which is nice. Samsung and Apple. All right, let's take a look at this real quick before we jump into the phone. So, pretty sure we're going to find SIM removal tool. Yep, right there. And then some documentation. All right, so there is a warranty, terms and conditions. We don't care. And the welcome start guides. So here's your quick intro to the OnePlus Nord N20 5G. As you can see, bunch of cameras, in-display fingerprint sensor. Oh yeah, look at that. Pretty nice. So that means OLED. So that's exciting. Okay, so let's have a look at the phone, because really that's what we're most excited about. This phone is really good looking. So let me take off the wrapper real quick and see if there's an iMaze sticker we need to deal with. Yep, there it is. There we go. All right, ta-da, reveal. Oh, look at that. That's really cool design. It does not look like an Oppo phone, so that's exciting. I like how OnePlus, so far, at least for the US market, has kind of found its own little voice. This looks interesting. It has a very unique camera pod with 3 cameras, and in LED flash, it's got the OnePlus logo. And this little bar down there reminds me of the iPhone 5 series, right? It's pretty thin too. Slab size like the iPhone. And yeah, wow, very nice design. I really like this. Okay, let's turn it on and have a look at this display, because that's kind of the party piece here. At least for the US, it's rare for us to get an OLED display at this price point. So let's talk about those specs on that display. It's a 6.43-inch 1080p AMOLED panel with an in-display fingerprint sensor. Great stuff. So the one thing it's missing, the only thing you're going to be a little vexed about, is that there's no 90 hertz here. This is a 60 hertz display, and I guess that's a cost-cutting measure. But hey, you know what? I'm not going to complain. I think it's pretty reasonable to limit it to 60 hertz. And there's a bit of a chin, which is unusual for an OLED. But the reason for that is because there's a whole new generation of really affordable OLED display. We've seen this on Realme phones that I've unboxed. We've seen this on Xiaomi phones I've unboxed, where, you know, they have this chin because the connector needs room for the cable to wrap to the main board. And unlike a lot of more expensive OLEDs where you don't have this, right? So there's no chin on these kind of fancy OLEDs. So they've made a series of more affordable OLED displays now that have the connector on the bottom, so it's not folded, and because of that you get a bit of a chin. I wish it didn't have the chin, but overall I like the bezels. I think they are uniform, which is pretty good. And again, you're getting an OLED compared to an LCD last year, and yes, you're only getting 60 hertz, but I think it's going to look way better. So now under the hood here, you have a Snapdragon 695 5G. Again, last year's N200 5G had a Snapdragon 480, and it was a little underpowered. Now this slots between the real Nord, or the Nord CE abroad, and the Nord N200 from last year, but last year we also got an N10, I guess technically as the end of 2020. And the N10 was kind of a disappointing phone, honestly. So this is a huge upgrade and an improvement over the N200. It doesn't quite bring us to the Nord or the CE, of course, right? That's a given. Or to the Ace even, which just got released in China. So in addition to the Snapdragon 695 5G, which is a welcome feature, we've got a 4,500 milliamp hour battery with 33 watt SuperVOOC charging, also great stuff. And we have 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage, but we also get micro SD up to 512 gigabytes. So that's nice. If you want to expand the storage, this phone will keep ticking for a while. Now, it doesn't come with the latest version of Oxygen OS, which is based on ColorOS, which is Oxygen OS 12. This is Oxygen OS 11 based on Android 11. So it's more like what we saw last year on the OnePlus phones, which I think is fine, honestly. I know it's not the Oxygen OS we all love from days of the OnePlus 7 series, but that's not coming back. So, still better, in my opinion, than Samsung or any of the other Android skins you can get, short of maybe Moto and Pixel, which I think are pretty great, or Sony for that matter. All right, what else do you have to talk about here? Let's actually walk you through the edges and show you around. So in typical OnePlus fashion, you've got a power lock key on the right-hand side, nothing else. On the bottom here, you have a speaker. This is a mono speaker, so this does not have stereo. USB Type-C, primary microphone, and a headphone jack. Nice. And then, of course, we have volume rocker on the left-hand side, SIM and micro SD slot, and on top you have a secondary microphone. So this is pretty much a standard setup for OnePlus. Now, it's missing the notification slider, but none of the Nord N series phones have had it, so I'm not going to complain. But honestly, this industrial design rocks. I really love the way it looks. It looks more premium than it is. It's affordable. It's got a solid, balanced set of specs. Let's talk cameras. That's one of the areas that's also a little fallen short, in my opinion. I was under the impression this was going to have an ultra wide as well as a regular camera, but no, this has 2 sticker cams, what I call 2 megapixel, not so useful cameras. There is a 2 megapixel f/2.4 macro and a 2 megapixel f/2.4 monochrome lens, whatever that means. No ultra wide. That's disappointing. I wish even just a little 8 megapixel ultra wide would have been great. So let's talk about the main sensor. 64 megapixel. I believe this is a 0.7 micron sensor, but I'm not sure. f/1.79. No OIS, of course, at this price point. But we'll see. We'll put it to the test. The little 13 megapixels camera last year on the N200 5G was okay considering. So this is 64. It pixel bins 4:1 down to 16 megapixels. It should be pretty decent, at least at this price point. Image processing on, the Oppo OnePlus universe has been pretty decent in the last few years. So I fully expect this to outperform any Moto G phone or even, the TCLs or other phones that are sold in the US at this price point. Will it be as good as a Xiaomi phone? Maybe not, but probably should be on par with what Realme is offering at this, 200-ish price point. So yeah, that's it. That's a quick look at the OnePlus Nord N20 5G. I'm super stoked about this one. I'm really hoping that it's not too disappointing in any other way. Looks like a pretty complete package. I think the only bummers for me right now is the lack of ultra wide and the 60 hertz refresh rate. I would have really loved them to stretch it, maybe make it a $300 phone, give us the 8 megapixel ultra wide and give us a 90 hertz display. That would have been, I think, pretty much a winner. But I still think, this is a pretty competitive price for the US. So that's it, folks. The OnePlus Nord N20 5G. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends. Click the little notification icon below so you know when I'm making the next videos. And of course, tell your friends, right? Comment. Tell me what you think. Would you buy this over a Moto G? Moto just launched a bunch of new Moto Gs that are, I think, very overpriced what they deliver, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And then, remember this is a compliment to my podcast, mobiletechpodcast.com, or on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, everywhere good podcasts can be found. If you want to listen to the show, you should subscribe, and this is just visual compliment to the show, really. Also, there is a Patreon, patreon.com/tankrl. That's patreon.com/TNKGRL. If you want to support this channel, support my podcast, please check it out. There is a video version of the podcast you can get ahead of time, less edited, more raw, and that's one of the perks. You also get access to Discord server, so check that out. All right, folks, I'll be back with more videos soon. Until then, cheers, everybody.